Welcome to the Too Close for podcast. It's episode 11, and it's also episode 11 of Too Close for Comfort. Well, that's what we're covering tonight. Oh, let me get my notes out.
You got your notes?
Tell you exactly when this one first aired.
Oh yeah, that's in the 80s. I'm thinking it was sometime in the 80s.
Sometime in the 80s.
It's gotta be mid-Jan, maybe February.
This was February 3rd, 1981. A Fine Romance.
81.
And a fine romance it was.
It was a
Guest starring Sylvia.
That's right. The only guest star. Did we ever catch her last name?
There might have been one. Yeah.
Let me see. I might have, if it is, I have it in my notes.
Sylvia Walker.
Sylvia Walker, who was married to Jeff Walker. That's correct, sir. We're both on the same page, so we're here. Oh, you got that on, those are the
Consulting the Wikipedia
notes. That's what I'm thinking. Alright. Well, let's just get into this thing now. So once again, we find Henry, Sarah, and Jackie. They're in the kitchen. Surprise, surprise. Reading the newspaper. They're all reading the newspaper, and they're having breakfast. And Henry, he's reading the obituaries, and he realizes his friend Ed Miller has died at age 52.
Not Ed Miller.
Oh, Ed Miller, that's right. And Sarah says, at least he lived a full life. And then Henry's like, he was only 1 year older than I was. And he continues looking at the obituaries, and Muriel comes in with a letter from Sylvia, apparently Sylvia Walker, and Henry immediately assumes that Jeff has died. But no, in fact, Jeff has left her for another woman after 27 years of marriage.
He left her for a 26-year-old.
No.
Not as old as his marriage.
And she's going to stop by on her way to visit her sister in L.A. And she has chosen to stay at a hotel instead of at the extra room that they have that Henry has still not turned into a studio, and in fact never will.
Spoiler.
No, I didn't want to ruin it.
But we won't tell you what they eventually do with that room. Coming up in about 9 episodes or so.
Oh, jeez. And how twisted is that? Hey, we got to do something to figure out where the show is going. Well, we need a twist. What's the twist? We'll get to that. So Jackie goes on about how exciting it is to stay in a motel or hotel. How exciting. And then Sarah's like, ooh. And then Henry's all like, ooh. Because he knows what goes on. And he's like, what do you know about hotels? I want to keep saying motel, but he's like, what do you know about hotels? Because these girls, in Henry's mind, he doesn't want to envision these girls going to a hotel. Because he knows what happens at hotels.
This also has what may be the longest Act 1. At least certainly up to this point.
It's a full 16 minutes before we get our first commercial break. So Henry asks how they know that hotels are exciting, and the girls quickly leave because they have, one has to go to the bank, the other has to go to school with Monroe, who we have not seen. Next, they're all waiting for Sylvia to arrive. Everybody's in the living room, eagerly waiting for Sylvia, and Henry is wearing his finest suit. When Monroe arrives and tells Sarah that he can't take her home from school because he's got a new job delivering flowers. Just then, Sylvia walks in, and then everybody leaves. And Muriel and Sylvia, they all leave Muriel and Sylvia alone to talk. They go to get drinks because they're constantly drinking in this show.
Not quite to Bewitched levels, but still.
Oh yeah, well, martinis were the order of the day in Bewitched, but that's a future episode. So Sylvia and Muriel are talking about her plans after this divorce, and then later Henry is wearing a Stanford sweater when Sylvia shows up, and he's got a cup of coffee, and she's like, "Oh, where can I get a good cup of coffee?" And then he gives her the cup of coffee. So they're all flirty, and Muriel's off at a photo shoot somewhere. And Sylvia says she forgot that Muriel was at this photo shoot, so Henry suggests to get some champagne that he's been saving for 12 years. What the hell is that, Marty? He's been saving the champagne for 12 years, and then he busts it out with what he thinks is just his good friend.
Yeah.
Who has just stopped by looking for Muriel, even though she knew Muriel wasn't going to be there. She forgot. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers right now. So he broke out the 12-year-old champagne. What's up with that, dude?
Well, he was feeling, according to the Wikipedia, insecure about his age after dealing with all these obituaries and stuff. So maybe he was like, "I gotta live now."
And he had been on about how attractive and how he couldn't imagine how anyone would do anything but want to be with her because she's so sexy and attractive. So they've been kind of flirting the whole time, and now Sylvia has come over to apparently act on this. So he breaks out the champagne. All right, at which point, now they've broken out the champagne, and now she starts kissing him, and apparently wants to have sex. And Monroe shows up just at this time, and he opens up the door. He's got some flowers or something, and he sees what they're doing. And then Monroe freaks out, and he runs away, and he falls down the stairs in the most comical way, like his leg is like above his head, hooked on something. I don't know what it was hooked on. I'm gonna watch that again. That's classic Monroe. I would love to see like a meme or just like all the Monroe stuff cut together. That'd be beautiful. So he falls down the stairs with his flowers. Ass over tea kettle, as they say. And then he pulls some ninja move, and he hides behind a plant, like they got a tall plant in the corner, and he just kind of he just stashes
like it's a
himself.
cartoon or something.
Exactly. And she leaves, telling Henry that she's going to be in her hotel room, number 608. And boom, Act 1 over.
Finally.
That was 16 minutes. So what do you think about that, then?
Quite the exposition on that episode. We'll have to pay attention and see if there is another Act 1 that's that long. I can't think of any, but we'll see. We got 120 more to go, so.
That's true. It's weird, because now you have 14 minutes to put the rest of the show in, so these acts just get shorter and shorter. I don't know if they ran that way originally.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I'm interested.
The rest of the story is not much, though. It's kind of like now all the loose ends start flying together.
So Monroe shows up wearing his delivery uniform with a bouquet of flowers that say, "Rest in peace, Vito." Jackie and Sarah are getting ready to go to do. It's like the next morning.
Yeah, there's a lot of death references in this episode.
So they're getting ready to go to school and work. I don't know why they're not upstairs getting breakfast, because that's usually where we find them every morning. But today
they're mixing it up on this episode.
Maybe they've already eaten breakfast.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But usually they're out the door. Anyway, so maybe they switched it up. You're right. He tells them that what he's seen. He went to confession because he didn't know what to do with what he had just seen, but the line at church was so long, he wasn't actually able to get into confession, but he really wanted to. And he tells the girls about catching Henry and Sylvia together.
And he makes it sound way worse.
Yeah. Also, we learn at this point that we also learn that Monroe is using his bicycle to deliver these flowers. So he's wearing that suit and carrying a big thing of flowers on a bicycle. I just thought that was interesting that he's using a bicycle now. So the girls tell him don't worry about it because they know her dad's not screwing around. He would never do anything like that. So when we cut upstairs, and Muriel and Henry are having breakfast, which was why I was curious why the girls aren't there. And Muriel tells Henry, take the day off and do whatever, go have some fun, enjoy yourself. And he gets all work, he's like,
maybe it was their second breakfast.
I'm gonna get ready to go. And he's all, no, that's not a good invitation.
It's not an easy one to do.
So he gets all excited and he's getting ready to go, he's gonna go downtown and do something, have fun. And the girls come up and they see him getting all excited, so they go tell Muriel what they know about what Monroe told them. Boom. That's Act 2. These are getting shorter. And now Act 3, Henry is now downtown. He's at the hotel.
Yeah, fresh location.
One of the few times we get a fresh location.
Yeah, I mean, the outside of the hotel is that transition it's unusual. It's right up there with when we got to see the outside of the bank a few episodes back. Later seasons we don't get as much as that.
So he's in the hotel and he's all nervous and he's riding the elevator up and down. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do this. He goes home and he bought a new hat like Muriel suggested earlier in the previous act. Let's call them acts.
He bought a new hat.
So he comes home with a new hat and flowers. And Muriel hands him a drink as soon as he walks in the door. So, everything's good. And we find out Muriel has spent the day with Sylvia and took her to the airport to get her out of town so there's no more temptation. She even if he had wanted to, Muriel would have cut him off. She would have been there at the motel. So that's the end of Act 3, which is episode 11 of Too Close for Comfort.
Well, as you said, Sylvia Walker was our lone guest star. I guess you could still count Monroe as a guest star in season 1 since he's still officially in the guest star, but we know better. Okay, Cosmic Cow. Comic strip. It's back to being a comic strip again. Sometimes it's a comic book, sometimes it's a comic strip. I think it's both.
You think it's like Spider-Man?
Yeah, it runs in the paper, and then it also is collected into a monthly comic book, or maybe he draws both. It's just that popular. I mean, it's Wainwright Publishing's,
It's their baby. It's their golden child.
Exactly. This week we got the Stanford sweater. We thought that it was last week, but upon confirmation by our by the people that do that stuff for us, they confirmed that it was Stanford this week.
Our interns, Tim and Larry.
And then they said that last week was Syracuse. Okay.
Syracuse.
So when we first see Monroe in this episode, he's not wearing stripes, but then the second time he is wearing stripes. That also happens a lot.
That's right. It's like wearing something over those stripes, right?
Yeah. Don't know why I like to point that one out, but it's just one of these things that happens over and over again, so I can't help but point it out. One of the things that I initially thought about pointing out was morbid things, and this episode's full of morbid things. I decided not to put the list of morbid.
Oh yeah,
but
Henry's
still there.
The whole thing is really based around Henry and his mortality.
Mm-hmm.
because he's looking in the obituaries and he's seeing all these people who are not only his age but younger who are dying. And he's like, well, boom, that's me. That might as well be me.
And even when Monroe's delivering flowers, he's got this giant, rest in peace thing for somebody.
True.
So
Rest in peace, Vito.
It's all chock full of that. We got one good occurrence of a Henry pointing and one really nice Henry stammer. Oh, that was a...
Oh, yeah, it was a good one. It was like a 3-layer one.
Still no Monroe's motorcycle, but we got Monroe's bicycle, as you pointed out. Muriel was having a photo session this afternoon. There was a little mention of her photography. The intro was the same as episode 110, same as last week. We got an early version of the one-note music cue in this episode.
Okay.
And the old-young relationship pops up again. As we pointed out, Sylvia's husband Jeff left her for a 26-year-old, and they were married for 27. So she was not as old as his marriage.
Exactly. It's creepy, right? It's like a level of creepiness.
Yeah, everybody's different, Maybe Jeff found who he was supposed to be with the 26-year-old.
Something, right?
Sure. And we never got the Jeff Walker spin-off show where we got to examine that, but maybe one day.
Or Sylvia.
Or Sylvia, for that matter.
When she got to LA and hooked up with her sister, where did that go? I don't know. Did they go on the Love Boat?
The potential.
That would have been cool.
I don't think Sylvia ever comes back. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
But the girls definitely knew her. She had come from Chicago.
Yeah.
And they were so happy to see her.
I'm going to give this one a 3. Pretty average, what did we learn this episode? Well, Henry was considering it. But then it seemed like Muriel was kind of enjoying it because, we're ending the episode with all this kissing between those two. And as I've pointed out before, we don't see that too often. So maybe Muriel secretly enjoyed the fact that she thought Henry was going to try to cheat. And that would certainly explain why he keeps getting away with all these, oh, you don't understand. Somebody walked in just as the time was drunk, so-and-so was kissing me.
Yeah, that happened the episode right before this, right?
Yep.
That's how it ended.
Mm-hmm. Now, next week we get kind of a reversal. But it's also interesting, thanks to Wiki, I've noticed next week's episode was production order number 10, which means it was shot before the sex surrogate episode, but was shown after this one. Just weird little things. So we didn't originally have the storyline happening in reverse the very next week. Let's see, were these two written by the same guy? Yeah, they were. Same person wrote both of these episodes this week and next week. Next week's is, of course, 112, The Boy in the Band. Muriel's old drummer is in town.
Another twist, another old sex, something to everything's to do with sex.
But in a special
Who's gonna
twist.
Have sex? Is Sarah gonna have sex? Is Jackie gonna have sex? Is Henry gonna have sex? Is Muriel gonna have Monroe? Maybe he's gonna have sex. Rapkin, she's definitely gonna have sex.
Not since VJ Day, 1945, or whatever it was.
That's why she keeps coming around to find Monroe.
So Muriel's old drummer Rich is in town, but in another crazy twist, Rich takes a liking to Jackie, which does not exactly thrill Muriel.
I wouldn't think so.
I'm Marty Cazzola.
I'm the other guy.
And we'll be back next week with another long, eagerly awaited episode of Too Close for Podcast.
You can hear my show on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. Download the free app today. Listen anytime, anywhere.
Create custom playlists. Rate and review my show on Stitcher. And over 4 million car dashboards.
On demand and on the go. No downloading, no syncing, no wasted memory. Stream your favorite podcasts. Don't have Stitcher? Download it free today at Stitcher.com or in the App Store.